Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning, and very happy to welcome Kim Thompson from the Better Business Bureau. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning, Susie, and how are you today?
Doing well, and so far so good as far as not feeling too scammed. I want to get into, before we get into all the things that we have to talk about, I wanted to ask you, has coronavirus brought along any scams, or am I jumping ahead? Has there been have people been taken advantage of because of the recent COVID health crisis?
Well, of course, because that is what scammers, con artists, these horrible people, that is what they do. Any chance that they have to take advantage of current events in order to get what their agenda is, that's what they do. So they came up with new scams, and they were able to take old scams and reinvent them in order to use the pandemic to their advantage.
You know, when you think of how smart these people are and how they could use that intelligence to do something to benefit mankind instead of this, it just makes you so angry, doesn't it?
It does. And I actually use the sentence you just said all the time when I'm speaking to these poor consumers that have been taken. I say it all the time. You know, to try to console the consumers that have been taken, I say to them, first of all, I say, I want you to know that the best of us have been taken.
Sure.
Because they do feel bad. They think that they're the only person out there, you know, and that has been taken. And they think that they're dumb. You know what I mean? That, you know, how could I do this? How could I let this happen? And I let them know. I said, no. I want you to know that the best of us have been taken. The smart of us have been taken, because these scammers are, in fact, what you just said. They are very smart people. And if they could only take those smarts and turn it around and do good for the world, imagine what they could be doing, you know, for mankind and the world. But instead, they're doing it to steal money and to steal personal information and just do it for the benefit of only themselves. So I say that all the time to these consumers.
If we have time before we're done in this half hour, I'm going to share one where I really got taken. And it's really kind of hilarious now when I think about it. But hopefully we'll run out of time and I won't have to share that embarrassing story.
But you know what, though? By you sharing your story, it actually does help others. And I tell people that I speak to about times that I almost got taken or I did get taken, because it kind of helps them feel better. I had a lady come, there's a trade show I go to every year, not this year, of course, but every year. And every year she would forget that she told me the year before, because it has consumed her mind that she was taken by this scammer. And she hasn't told her family. She hasn't told her friends. She feels safe telling me because she doesn't know me from anybody else. But she is so consumed by the guilt and the shame that she was taken by this person because she lost a lot of money that she hasn't told her family and friends. And it really is affecting her physically and mentally. So it helps that when we are taken, one, to admit it, because then we learn from it, and then it won't, you know, possibly it won't happen again. But then we're sharing it with our friends and our neighbors and our family and our friends, because then we're telling them, hey, this is how they got me. You know what I mean? And then we can educate others, so that then we're trying to stay ahead of those scammers, and we're teaching and educating. So instead of us being ashamed and not speaking, it actually helps us by telling those stories and saying, you know, this is what the scam was. This is the red flags that I missed. So I don't want you to miss what I missed. You know what I mean? But then we won't be taken again by it. So it's actually good for us to talk and tell our story.
All right, you talked me into it. Here it is. Here's what happened. We got this phone call, repeated phone calls about how they would help us with tuition paying back. That, you know, we had college loans, and here's how to pay them back faster with an amazing rate. All you've got to do is give us the Social Security number of the person whose college tuition you are wanting to do, and we will take it from there. I called back, talked to a very friendly guy, but before I knew it, I had given him so much personal information. It's astounding. It's astounding. And then I started feeling that prickle in the back of my neck, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just shared all this on the phone because they called me. I didn't call them. They called me first. So it was pretty funny. Saw their address, said, oh my goodness, I see you're in Los Angeles. I happen to be going to visit a relative in Los Angeles next week. I'll stop in and we'll finish this out there. Well, he got a little funny. And was like, oh. So my husband and I did. We found the place. We went up, and there, I'm not kidding you, Kim, there was a sheet of notebook paper hanging on the door. And we walk in, and it was one of the, we could tell, they have set this up for our visit. You know, as soon as we're gone, this is going to turn back into whatever it really is. And so, I mean, freaked us out. And but it was pretty funny because we were the last persons that they were expecting to, to actually say, "Oh, I'll be there. I'll be there in person." So, anyway, went in and bought that Lifeline or whatever, that LifeLock, LifeLock, bought the full package of that, and the whole situation was taken care of. They went away. We noticed that they had different addresses, like about every couple of weeks or so. So they moved around frequently. But okay, tell me what I what I should have seen. The problems there, because something was wrong as soon as I realized I'd given a Social Security number to somebody who had called me.
So, and that's the first thing right there.
Okay.
Is that's one of the tips we always say is that you want to be wary of the unsolicited phone call or the unsolicited email. So anytime someone else is initiating that request, because you didn't reach out to them, they reached out to you. So that's right there. That's your very first one right there. Okay. So that means your next step is then you have to now do some research. And you'd never start that research by any information that unsolicited caller has given you. Yes. They say, we'll call this number, reach out to this website, check out this, here's your information you want to use. No, absolutely not. You're not using any information that they give you because, again, you don't know who this person is.
Right.
They can give you any information they want. They can make up any website they want. And the internet right now isn't always our friend because they can download any logo they want. They can make, oh my gosh, that's all I do.
It looks real, doesn't it?
I'm the investigator for RBBB. And let me tell you, sometimes websites look so very real. But now I'm trained what I'm looking for, and there's always something in there that tips you off. Oh my gosh, this is not real. They are borrowing people's faces from other websites. They're borrowing their logos. They're borrowing all of their information, their addresses. They're borrowing everything. I mean, they steal everything. They don't care. They are heartless people, So, you don't use any of their information. So if they're saying that they are, like with you, college loans, then you have to do your own internet search, your own phone calls, but you have to find your own information to use.
And that's how we found that they moved a lot. That's how we found, my goodness, look at this. They move a lot.
And that's the thing is then you start to get those feelings in the back of your neck, or that little gut feeling. And I tell people all the time, there's a reason we have a gut feeling.
Yeah.
And when that gut feeling starts talking to you, you listen to it. There's a reason we have it. So when you start to get those uh-ohs, why are they changing their address? Then you want to slow everything down. Scammers and con artists want you to make rash decisions. They want you to react now because they don't want you thinking. Because if you start to think, then all of their information they're giving you doesn't add up. Because it can't. Because what they're asking you to do isn't making sense because they want you to give them information that you shouldn't be giving them. So that's when you start to slow everything down. If they say they need their information by tomorrow, then you give them a reason that you're not going to give them the answer by tomorrow. Because legitimate companies will give you plenty of time to think because there's no reason to rush it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's just as you start to do your research and things, then things start to not add up, and then, it just okay. And then here's the best thing.
If a
That's
deal
when you kind of bring, you can bring the BBB into it.
Awesome.
Because that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We have, the Better Business Bureau, has the, mostly people know about checking out businesses before you hire a contractor. You call the Better Business Bureau and check them out.
Mm-hmm.
But the other side of what we do, that's what I do, is the consumer side. You give us a call because, like I said, I do investigations. So talk to me, and to say, this is what's happened. This company has called me. This is what I've talked about so far. This is what they're saying. What do you think? I talk to people all the time. So I am so in tune to the red flags and the warning signs. You and I will have a conversation, and I'll tell you what my gut is telling me, or I'll give you more advice. You know what? I think you should call this organization. This is what they do. Or I think you should ask this question, and this question. Or look up this, look up that. I'll give you more advice on that specific information, specific scam or company or whatever I'll give you specifics. You know what I mean? And that's what we're there for. We can help you.
Yes. And I love it that you're saying that if they're saying this deal is only good until 4:00 this afternoon or 5:00 by the end of the day, then you just don't do it. Say, okay, thanks.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to pass, because that buys us a little time to contact you, make sure everything checks out right before we would go forward with anything. Yeah, and I'll tell you also, if you go to the physical address and there is a sheet of notebook paper on the door with somebody scrawled the name of the company on top, probably not legit. Okay.
And that's another thing is we do. When I do an investigation, I always Google the address that they have given.
Yeah.
And usually in my investigations, it'll come up with an empty lot. It'll come up with a whole nother business that's there, and they've just borrowed the address.
Yeah.
So I do always say Google the address and see what's really there. If it's probably not who they say they are, especially like in your, experience. It was a scam company that just kept moving from around the address because they're trying to not be detected and found out. So there's so many things you can do, and that's what we always say. And if it's not the BBB that you want to call, then you reach out to your family and friends. Maybe you have that family member that they just are more in tune to things like that. So you want to bounce these things off as somebody that you trust. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a neighbor, whoever. But don't think you're in this alone. You want to bounce this off as somebody else and just say, hey, I have this opportunity, or I have this letter that came in. It sounds pretty good to me, but I want to bounce it off of you. You definitely don't want to do this alone. Yeah. Never do something alone. Bounce it off as somebody. Yeah. And if you don't have that family, friend, neighbor, then you definitely have the BBB. Or do both. Do a family member and the BBB.
Perfect.
You know what I mean? The more minds thinking about it, the better. Because the worst call I get, and I get it more often than I want to say, is the consumer that has already fallen victim. And they say to me, Kim, how can I get my information back? How can I stop this? How can I get my money back? Yeah. And I have to tell them, you can't. You know what I mean? Yes, after the fact, we can put things in place like you did. You went to LifeLock. But that doesn't get your information back from that scammer. All it does is put some protection in place. And once that money is gone, it's gone. You can't get it back. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to do all your homework you can before you have done something, not after, because it's just sad. But that's when I turn it. Yeah. And that's when I say what I've already told you, when I tell them, you know what, the best of us have been scammed. It's okay. Turn this into a positive and now educate everybody that you know. Let them know that, you know what, I'm okay that this happened. I'm going to learn from this, and I'm going to educate you now because I'm going to keep you from being scammed. Yeah. And turn it around into a pot. Turn that negative, what is it? Make lemonade out of lemons.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
That's right.
And I do. I always end that phone call on a positive, and I'm like, it's okay. Yeah. You know what? We're going to let this one go, and we're going to learn from it, and we're going to help others.
That's
right. That's how I usually try to turn my phone calls.
And there are no princes from far-off lands needing my bank account to put a big deposit in.
Exactly.
I've got that now.
Not.
They're not looking.
I get those emails all the time, and I'm like, not today.
No, they've written to the wrong person. All right,
Absolutely.
we need to take a short break. We've got lots to talk about when we come back, visiting with Kim Thompson from the Better Business Bureau. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community. Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas, visiting with Kim Thompson from the Better Business Bureau. So happy that you are here. We contacted you, first of all, because evidently there's an asphalt scam going on, and so we wanted to get the information about that and just let's educate everyone and let's turn this into a positive so no one else gets fooled by it.
Yes. So this has actually been around for a while, but for some reason we have some companies that are kind of targeting our area currently. So, and it's really the same premise that we have seen for a while. So if anybody stops and knocks on your door, and we actually had this happen at the BBB, kind of very ironic, literally came into our BBB offices. This gentleman talked to our president and CEO, and he said, hey, we were doing a project. We paved someone's parking lot just down the street from here, and we have leftover materials. Would you like us to go ahead and do your parking lot out here at a discounted rate? Because, we don't want to go back with this leftover material. Well,
he didn't notice that he was at the BBB?
I guess because our door, we come in the back door and our sign's out front, but it only says BBB. And a lot of people don't know what BBB stands for. We're trying to get that changed, like BBB, what is that?
Yeah.
Better Business Bureau.
Yeah.
So, yes, he actually came in and
that's kind of funny.
The president came to all of our offices and says, you will not believe what just happened. So we had a good chuckle that day.
Yeah.
So they say, hey, for a discount, we're going to go, we would love to offer this to you. Always say no thank you, because chances are what they're actually going to be doing is using a very low-grade material. It's not going to be good. It only lasts a couple years. Or they're going to ask you for a certain amount of money up front, and you're actually not going to get anything done. So it's either or, who knows what actually will happen, but it is just, it is a scam. It's not really what's happening. Or what they're doing is it's fly-by-the-night people where they're not actually even from the area. They might have borrowed. Sometimes they'll come in and they'll get a company that's local, and they'll say, hey, we want to borrow your name and address. We just want to do some work in the area. And if they get a company that's not as legitimate as what we would like to see, the company says, sure, why not? They get a little money in the process, and they come around and do that shoddy work. And then when you go to complain, the company that actually did it is gone, and all you have is this company that's local, and they're like, we didn't do it,
and their name on it.
And you have nobody to really come back and have any recourse.
Yeah.
So it's that same concept. You get that unsolicited, that they come to you and they say, hey, we noticed that you have a crack out here. We want to fix that for you, but we're going to give you a special deal.
Yeah.
You really don't want to do that because you want to do your own research. You want to get, your 3 different referrals, and you want to get the estimate. You always want to do your homework. Whenever you're having someone come in, you want to take your time. You want to talk to people that have already used that company. You want to see if there's any complaints out there about that company, because that job is something that you want to last for years and years and not have to keep going back every 5 years to fix and everything. So, but we have there's a couple of different companies that have come through in the last even just a year and a half, where there have been some major problems and major scams. So we wanted to put that press release out and just do a quick reminder that, yes, this is real. They will show up at your door knocking. Hey, we want to help you out.
Yeah,
and, of course, they have that smile on their face, and they want to act like they're so nice. And, no, they're not. It's okay to say no.
Yeah,
you can put a smile on your face, but say, no, thank you. You know what? I'm already working on that. And, sometimes it's okay for that little white lie because it's actually benefiting you. So
that's a very good heads up for legitimate companies as well.
Correct.
I think that's very good. If somebody contacts your legitimate asphalt company, and wants to borrow your truck for a day, that's a
Yeah.
good reason to say no as well.
Absolutely.
You've got something
Yeah.
coming up on Saturday, September 19th, shred
Yes.
event. What's happening?
Yes. So Saturday, September 19th from 9 to 1, we will be down in Dover at the Bueller's parking lot. It is actually our 7th year for holding this event. So we will have the large commercial shred trucks. So any documents that you want to have shred commercially, and we shred them right there on site. So before the trucks leave, everything is shred. And it's actually like they can do magazines and some books. So it's like the heavy duty trucks. The idea behind that is for identity theft. You know, we want to make sure that things are getting shred before they go out in the trash because, yes, believe it or not, there are still dumpster divers out there. So we want to make sure that we want to get, like you mentioned before, you gave out your social security number. We want to make sure that any documents that we're getting rid of that have, you know, that personal information on there is getting properly destroyed prior to putting it into our trash cans.
Yes.
So, but, you know, we had a big timeout earlier this year, and we were in our homes. So we probably did a lot of cleaning. We've had record numbers at our other events. So even if you did a big clean out earlier this year and you have all these papers and you're wondering, you know, what to do with it, I don't feel safe just throwing it away.
Yeah.
This is a good opportunity. Bring it in your plastic bags or in your cardboard boxes or whatever. We can take care of that too. We won't shred it in the truck, but we have dumpsters there to take care of the cardboard boxes. But it's a quick and easy way to empty out your houses.
Is there a limit to how much you can bring?
There is not. There is not. So far, we have been able to not have to put a limit on there. So because I want people to be able to get rid of everything. I know a lot of places do have the limits, but I have not at this point imposed a limit. So bring everything you have, especially this year because we had such a big time in our homes. So bring everything you have. And it is open to businesses too. We just asked that the businesses, we had one year at our Canton event, they were renting trucks and bringing a whole lot. Well, then it filled our trucks.
Yeah.
So we don't ask, you know, go crazy, but it's open to businesses too. So if we can help out some, you know, small businesses, you know, with their added expenses for shredding, we would like to do that too.
And that's this Saturday, September 19th.
Correct.
Location and hours.
So it's the Bueller's parking lot at 3000 North Worcester Avenue, and then 9 to 1. The other part of the event is we do have the e-cycler there. So we do have a listing of the items that he accepts. The BBB has a Facebook page, and then we also have, there's a website. I'll say it. It's a Bitly link. So it's bit.ly with a /, and then it's 2020 shred event.
Perfect.
Try to make it as easy as I could.
Yes.
But then the e-cycler, he basically says anything with a cord. So the only thing, this is a free event, it's open to the community. The only thing is he says if you have fluorescent tubes, he will take those, and there's just a small cost for those. Now this year, the only thing that's different is he is not accepting the old style TVs. That's the ones that have the tubes.
Okay.
He accepted those in the past, but too many were coming because everyone has those old TVs in their basement.
Yep.
That's the only thing he's not taking. He will take those at his shop. So if you have them, if you come to the event, you can talk to him and make arrangements. But at the event, it's flat screens only for the TVs and the computers.
What a great opportunity to just clean out before we end up. Well, we've been inside, haven't we, all summer? But
I know, but we're about to go back inside.
Inside,
it's so cold.
Yes, do some fall cleaning, and this is an opportunity to really get ready for it. Do we need to make sure that there's no paper clips, staples, things like that before we start?
Nope, you're fine. It's fine.
Okay.
It's such a big truck. You're fine leaving all that stuff on there.
Okay.
And I do want to say this event has been sponsored by Dover Hydraulics Inc. and Ray and Associates, two awesome companies right there in Dover. So they help offset our costs that we incur by having those companies come in and help us out. So
That's awesome.
I do want to put a shout out to them.
Awesome. We do. Thank you so much. Grandparents' Day was yesterday,
Yes.
and we do know that that age group can be a target for these scammers. Let's go back to talking about scamming a little bit.
Okay.
What can we tell grandparents? What can they be watchful for?
So one thing with them, I notice is actually we have a scam that we call grandparent scam. The other term is emergency scam, and so that is when they get a phone call, and it is they say, "Hi, Grandma. Hi, Grandpa," and I actually had a consumer call me. It was a gentleman, and he said, "Kim, he was targeted." And he actually was taken. And I really thought, before I talked to this gentleman, I thought, how is someone going to sound like someone else's grandchild?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think you would know their voice. Yes.
Exactly. But they do, in fact, get them, because what they're doing is they're preying on this person's emotions. Mm-hmm. And when we get our emotions involved, the heart will overpower the brain.
Wow.
Okay? And the scammers know this, and that's what's happening. And then you take a grandparent and it's about their grandchild, and it just makes that emotion, and it's this, tenfold. And this gentleman, he just could not get over how close he came to sending this money over. And he kept saying, he goes, "Kim, I knew it wasn't my granddaughter. I knew my granddaughter was safe. I knew my granddaughter was right here in town. I knew she was not out west like they kept telling me. Yeah. I knew that she wouldn't be doing it." He just kept expressing that he knew there was no way. But yet he goes, "I almost sent them money because they had me. They had me on the hook." And so he called me and he goes, "You've got to get the word out there." He goes, "You have to tell the other grandparents out there how real this is." And so I did an article on it. I put it in my presentations. And I tell the other grandparents exactly what this man told me, how he just wanted to express that what I tell everybody, it can happen to the best of us.
Yeah.
So
if you get a call from the grandchildren that they're in emergency, they're traveling, they're overseas, or they're out west, they're somewhere on vacation, and they've somehow lost all of their money, can you wire them something? That answer would be...
Well, what you do, the first trick they do is they just say, "Hi, Grandma, Grandpa." And what we tend to do is, "Lizzie, is that you? Sam, is that you?"
Right, don't say their name.
You have just given them information they need. And you don't even know that you did it.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, is it's hard not to do that. They tend to maybe make that phone call at night because they're thinking that you're a little more tired at night, a little more confused at night. Mm-hmm. The other thing is they're going to do is they're going to say, "Will you please not tell Mom and Dad? Or will you please not tell anybody?" They may have gone online and tried to get information off of social media. They'll get as much information as they can before they, target you. Yes. But they'll say, "Please don't tell so-and-so. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to this. I don't want to that." That's the first thing you do, is you call their parents to make sure that they, are they where they're supposed to be? And they're going to be. And then it's a scam, and you don't want to send them anything.
Yes.
And then you always say, "Well, you know what? I need to check." You can even tell them, "Well, I need to check and make sure."
Yeah.
Because then they're going to start with all the excuses. "Oh, no, this, no, that." And if that's not how your grandchild normally reacts, boom, again, it's a red flag, a warning sign. Or you ask them, if your grandchild does not have a dog, ask them something about the dog, or you ask them some personal information, or ask them, you could ask them something off the wall. If you only have one grandchild, you could say, "Well,
how's your brother?
Is he with you?"
Yeah.
Right. Or something. And if they say yes, then you know what I mean?
It's not
it's one of those things. So it's one of those things that you need to stay calm, even though they're trying to get your emotions on high and not stay calm. So really, truly, you just need to take that deep breath.
Oh, that's smart.
And stay calm. And they're trying to, they want you to react without thinking, and you need to really, really, really stay calm and keep thinking. So
I knew we were going to run out of time, and so we need to have you back, Kim, because this is such important information. Wow, we'll be on the watch for that. We'll be on the watch for all these things you've been talking about today. But give us the number of the Better Business Bureau. When we've got questions, who should we call?
Okay, so our number, 330-454-9401.
Let's say that one more time, please.
Okay, Better Business Bureau is 330-454-9401.
Awesome. Kim Thompson, thank you so much for helping out our community.
All right. I thank you so very much for letting me give out all my info.